We're all good. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure and privilege to be here with Liz. This has been a long time coming, and I've been excited about this, Liz. You know, I know we've had quite a long conversation and we're very aligned on this topic, and it's one that needs to be shared, slightly parallel to Manatech, but also wedded to Manatech and our mission with, real nutrition for supporting our cells. If you don't know me, my name is Sharon Whiteman. I partner with Dana Hunter and Gary Knapp every week to bring this call to the masses, Australasia definitely, but often we have international guests too, so a big warm welcome. I also know that there's going to be brand new people that are new to us today. This is a more expansive program and education piece, and we hope that you'll leave here empowered and with the ability to have quite a curious mind looking at the world today. So I'm just going to share the screen now. The other thing, this call came from a lot of requests. Liz, I can tell you, I've been having people asking me for ages. And so many people that are with us today haven't had the opportunity to meet you before. I think it's been over a year since we had you on the call, or maybe even a couple of years.
So.
Liz. Yeah. So just so you know, have a little bit of background about Liz. She lives in Perth, Western Australia, and she's pursued her keen interest in healthy lifestyle nutrition through clean, whole food choices and supplementation for her family. She's a retired clinical pharmacist with a postgraduate diploma in community pharmacy and primary care. Across her career spanning 35 years, Liz gained experience in all areas of community and country pharmacy, working in 57 retail pharmacy localities. Liz supported and delivered mainstream medicine and complementary alternatives for her thousands of customers, from infants, pregnant mothers, students, teenagers through adolescence, first aid, acute care, chronic disease management, mental and cultural health, and quality of life options for the elderly and residential aged care. In 2001, Liz entered the private hospital arena, where she embarked on a 14-year registration pathway as a ward pharmacist and registrar, supervisor, and tutor. Liz was part of the multidisciplinary teams on the orthopedic, pediatric, and gastroenterology wards, coordinated patient discharge and follow-up for patients leaving the renal and maternity wards, and closely supported families with loved ones in hospice. In 1996, soon after her son Declan was born, Liz began her very personal journey of self-education and research, delving deeply into the immune system, the gut-brain connection, and functional neurology. By November 1998, Liz has discovered the healing properties of glyconutrients, the emerging field of glycomics, and signed up for the Proevity course of study into biomedical functions of glycoproteins, genetic expression, cell signaling, and the importance of the relative ability of the carbohydrate substrates in the disease and aging process. Liz's passion for sharing her knowledge was consolidated when Liz began attending conferences in Dallas, Texas, and met with Dr. Robert Murray, PhD, MD, editor-in-chief of Harper's Biochemistry textbook. It's a compulsory reference for all undergraduates studying in the field of medicine and allied health. Today, Liz joins us as we navigate new norms for living, taking stock of our global world, our social communities, and our individual identities. Nutritional supplementation is no longer considered a luxury. It is necessary for those wanting a lifestyle of health, youth, and vitality. Our own wellness journey should be based on our need for optimal health in the face of today's stress lifestyles, environmental toxicity, and chronic malnutrition. So Liz, are you seeing?
Yep, I can see you.
There we go.
Okay, right. Good morning, everyone. Yes, over in Perth, WA, actually the sun hasn't come up yet, just about, so it's quite early. I probably don't need to say much more than what Sharon just said, because really this is what our life looks like now. It looks so complex. But what I've tried to do this morning, and I will probably read quite a lot because I want to keep on track, but I want you to just think about how you can fit into the whole model of where your life sits now. And if you've been a Manataka for a while, you'll catch on a bit quicker. If not, then please speak to the person who invited you onto the call, and I'm sure that they'll be able to manage, your first 2 or 3 weeks until you actually hit the road running. So I want to start off just speaking to you about what education is and how important education is. I then will probably go into a little bit about where we find information regarding the current confusing information platforms about aged care, about vaccination issues with families and young children, about how our families are dealing with job description changes and contracts in regard to how we continue to work, and especially in the healthcare arena, in regard to what the government and ratings individually. And then I'll wrap up with how some of the Manatech products can really help to educate your immune system on how to function properly. And then at the end, I'll just wrap up with sort of a global review of how I feel each of us as an individual versus us as a family versus us as a community can really make a stand and be confident about sharing the knowledge that we have. So I'll start at the top. So for me, the determinants of health and well-being are conditions in which people are born, where they grow, where they live, where they work, and how they age. These conditions determine a person's chance of maintaining good health. They are sometimes referred to as the causes of the causes, as it's recognised that health is not simply about behaviour or exposure to risk, but how to socially and economically structure and shape the healthcare of the whole population. Factors beyond Australia's boundaries, as we know at the moment, also have a significant impact on our health and well-being. These include the integration of global economy, financial markets and trade, wide access to media and communication technology, and environmental degradation due to irresponsible uses of the resources that we have globally. That leads into climate change, which will also have a very thorough and solid impact on the health and well-being of populations into the future, and obviously our most vulnerable. The single strongest predictor of our health and well-being is actually our position on the social gradient. So yeah, the social ladder. Whether measured by income or education, place or residence of occupation, those people at the top of the gradient are the most powerful and resources, and on average, they generally live longer. Those people at the bottom have the least power and usually run at least twice the number of risks of serious illness and premature death as those at the top. Where we are promoting health and well-being, we need to focus on the issues most relevant to people's lives. For example, if a person is struggling financially, is unemployed or in poor housing, then changing an individual risk behaviour such as smoking or nutrition is actually not going to fit and hear. They're not going to hear what you're saying. We could move to the second slide, please, Sharon, if that's possible. Okay. So over 75% or more of the resources allocated to healthcare budgets, especially from rich countries, are used for treatment of health and lifestyle related conditions. There's a growing consensus that lifestyle modifications should be at the foundation of any healthcare system. According to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, nearly 80% of all chronic diseases are preventable by readily available means. Interestingly, 2 determinants, nutrition and lifestyle, are totally in our hands, and hence they're called modifiable factors. Many diseases are caused by bad practices of nutrition and lifestyle. The degraded economy, the degraded ecosystem, environmental pollution are all causes for several disorders and diseases. If we are to thrive through those confusing times that we face at the moment, People should be empowered to take their health into their own hands through lifestyle modifications, and this would drastically reduce dependence on doctors. Nutrition is a powerful determinant of health and well-being. In the modern environment where energy-rich foods are prevalent, challenges exist to improve diets that provide an appropriate energy density while maintaining the natural required nutritional value. A recent concept in nutrition is that components of food which are not abundant in diet may exert a regulatory effect on our physiology and our biology. We recognise this as supplements. In general, urban communities face problems related to environmental degradation, air and water pollution. Rural communities face problems related to sanitation, hygiene, insecticides, pesticides and agrochemicals. As the population ages chronologically, but biologically at different rates because of these factors, it's increasingly important to understand how nutrition and dietary supplements can reduce the risk of age-related disease. Further work is needed, and this field is called nutrigenomics, and it identifies key biochemical targets that are modifiable, and especially by adding glyconutrients and targeted supplements into the diet. The history of official guidance for food intake dates back to the first half of the 20th century. Dietary guidelines were initially targeted to prevent deficiencies in both micro and macronutrients. While lifestyle-related diseases are rising in prominence throughout the world, the focus of dietary guidelines in many parts of the world has shifted to preventing chronic diseases. Now, this is where our journey begins into the future, where we can make a great impact in people's lives. Third slide, please. Sharing. Okay, education is a lifelong process, starting at birth, even before that. Babies hear us when we speak. The increase in formal education is a goal for society. A causal link has been established between education and a range of health outcomes. One of the most consistent and powerful findings in public health is a strong association between a mother's education and child mortality. So results of studies have shown that a 1-year increment in a mother's education is actually associated with an almost 10% reduction in mortality of children younger than the age of 5. Public health appeals to date were best achieved by increasing individuals' perceived susceptibility to negative health outcomes and making individuals aware of the severity of such outcomes. Such approaches have been commonly employed in many health promotion messages, many of those which we're actually feeling and seeing today in terms of global pandemic that we're in and vaccination issues. So in addition to focusing on educating women and mothers of young children and their whole family, there has been a shift already in the past 20 years that increasing awareness of positive outcomes of providing nutritional supplements to families has a greater outcome. And the fact that the barriers are actually actions that are easily overcome, there is little systematic evaluation of the effectiveness of these because most of them are actually due to the common sense of appeal. Introducing supplements which in today's world are no longer considered a luxury. So having introduced you the concepts of dietary nutrition, the common sense of supplementing and the critical need to educate, starting with our children, we can see where we best stand in these concentric circles on slide 4. And these concentric circles allow us to navigate through the current confusing and challenging times. Hopefully everyone can see that, and if it's being recorded, it's probably something that you might like to go back to and have a look at, because this is pretty much the crux of where you need to position yourself in terms of how confident you are about sharing the Manatech story from here on. Have a drink of water. Moving into the body of today's call, I find myself faced with the most confusing component of our immediate crisis experienced this last 6 months with COVID-19 and the topic of vaccination. Vaccination refers to the act of a person being given a vaccine. When a vaccine is given, it triggers an immune response in your body. This protects you if you come in contact with strains of that disease, again, that occur in the natural environment. The World Health Organization considers immunisation to be the most effective medical intervention we have to prevent deaths and reduce disease in our communities. The following information that I'm going to give you has been sourced from the TGA website. So the TGA is the Therapeutic Goods Administration of Australia. And I want you to listen carefully and be aware of what you hear. Our healthcare professionals only have access to this information and rarely understand that there is more complete information now available, as we know. And this is the frightening bit. So healthcare professionals read what's on the TGA and they are advised to note that over time, the currency and the completeness of the information may change. To me, that's very, very frightening. They're actually saying that the information that they have on their TGA website may not actually be current and also may change at any time. And these professional healthcare readers are asked to seek advice from qualified healthcare professionals for diagnosis and answers to medical questions. I find it difficult to understand that whole concept of providing information to healthcare professionals, but also asking them to be vigilant about knowing whether the information they're reading is current. Following vaccination, this is another item that I read. Following vaccination, you or the doctor can report any effect to the TGA, which will help them to monitor the safety of vaccines. When people tell them about the experiences using a particular medicine or a vaccine, it helps them to understand more about the possible side effects that may be previously unknown. An adverse event following immunisation, again from the TGA, is an unwanted or unexpected event occurring after a vaccine has been given. Such an event may be caused by the vaccine or may occur by chance after vaccination. That is, it could have occurred regardless of the vaccination. Safety information. No therapeutic product is ever completely risk-free. Some risks may be known when the medicine or the medical advice is entered into the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods. However, some information only comes to light after more people have used the product. Are we up to slide 6? I think we are.
We're on the, you should be able to see it, Liz.
Yeah, that's right, the vaccine. Okay.
Yeah. What, the
so
next one?
Importantly, an adverse event is not always caused by the therapeutic product itself. An adverse event could be as a result of incorrect user interaction or other circumstances such as two properly functioning medicines or vaccinations that do not operate as intended when used in combination. The occurrence of an adverse event does not necessarily mean that there is something wrong with that therapeutic good. Another component about information from the TGA to do with allergies in medicine. And this was on the 30th of April 2020, so 2-3 weeks ago. The active ingredient will always be on the medicine label, but only some of the inactive ingredients, so-called excipients, must be on the label. We hold, as in the TGA, hold information about medical ingredients, but they do not manufacture, they hold information about medical ingredients, but not manufacturing impurities or contaminants. And again, on the 30th of April 2020, sometimes medicines have trace amounts of these substances to medicine ingredients. My head is trying not to shake. If you intend to rely on any legislation referred to on the website of TGA, they tell you that you should access copies of the official versions, which I couldn't find. These instruments are amended from time to time and may, on occasions, be replaced or new instruments made. Again, I'm trying not to shake my head. Right, slide 7. So now we want to talk about the morbidity and mortality of the morbidity and mortality weekly report, which gets published from the Centers for Disease Control in the USA. This information now talks about the current situation where prior to developing a COVID-19 vaccine, many people have been asked to have an influenza vaccine to cover them for the job retention or for visiting relatives in nursing homes, for children attending kindergarten and school. So the effectiveness, I have looked into the effectiveness of the 2020 flu shot, and this information was printed on February the 26th, 2020. And that would have been at the end of the current Northern Hemisphere's winter. So the CDC have published this information about the current vaccine available for influenza. And what the Southern Hemisphere does is we take the top 2 strains of the viral A strains from the winter of the Northern Hemisphere, the previous winter, and add in 1 or 2 of strains of influenza B. So 2 strains of influenza A and 2 strains of influenza B. So as of the 26th of February, the CDC Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report said that the current influenza vaccine has 45% effective overall against 2019-2020 seasonal influenza A and B strains of viruses. Specifically, the flu vaccine has been 50% effective against influenza B and 37% effective against influenza A, which is actually the prior SARS coronavirus component from 2013. So what we're having is an opportunity to be presented with consent or no consent to have an injection for the influenza vaccine that is at best under 50% effective. The situation I have at the moment with my parents in a nursing home is that on top of that request, we are only allowed to enter to make an appointment to see our parents on 3 days a week. So 3 days out of the 7 days is 42%. So we're looking at a situation where the vaccine that's available to us is not even 50% effective and also not even 50% covering the environment in which we are living and sharing our time with our loved ones, whether that be children at school, outside the gate of the school, or in nursing homes, or whether in fact you can even keep your job. What they did say as well, and they emphasised it, and I should say, they also emphasised that this year's vaccine substantially protected children and adolescents aged 6 months to 17 years, with 55% vaccine effectiveness seen in that population. Just to touch on the importance of understanding what is in the influenza vaccine and how it changes every year. So humans are the natural host for the B-type infection. B-type viruses mutate very slowly, and the A-type infections mutate quicker. A B virus strain takes longer for their genetic makeup to change than the influenza A. This drastically reduces the risk of a widespread pandemic due to a type B influenza. Influenza A mutates faster than influenza B, which I've just said, but both viruses are always changing, creating new strains from one flu season to the next. Past flu vaccinations will not prevent infection from a new strain. Wild birds are the natural hosts for type A viruses. Type A viruses include the current COVID-19. It's also called avian flu and bird flu, which we saw and heard about in the 2003 pandemic of swine flu, which came from bird flu. This infection can also spread to other animals and humans. This, combined with the ability of type A influenza to mutate faster than type B, can cause pandemics. Slide 8, we are up to, okay. Eric Olson, I'm sure you can all read it, and I'll actually just read it because what Eric says is really at the pinnacle of where we're getting our current information from, where the government is heading towards allowing pharmaceutical companies to go ahead and make products which may or may not even be tested before they're even made available. The amount of money that the World Health Organization is given from governments of the world to do what exactly Eric Olson is suggesting here is absolutely frightening. So just saying that because thousands of independent doctors are saying that this they didn't even spell it right, that hydroxychloroquine cures COVID-19 patients is not valid until they've had a major study done. But then in the next breath, they say that as soon as the coronavirus is manufactured, it must be immediately delivered to healthcare professionals worldwide for immediate human injection, and the proper studies can be performed later. This actual presentation has been very emotional for me, having been a pharmacist. And what I'm trying to do is portray that the information that we get given, especially ourselves being, ex-healthcare workers, nurses, physios, everyone to do with what we call direct medical intervention these days, the amount of information that we are given is not complete and is often not up to date. Many of you may have looked on the website lately for a doctor called Dr. Zach Bush. He speaks well to the new norm that exists as we navigate through this current pandemic. Equally, I am encouraged that now there may be time for us to think about the tipping point with current healthcare delivery and mainstream medicine as it begins to acknowledge that all is not as well as it has been portrayed to be. I have personally had in the last couple of weeks 2 telephone consults with my GP, and the experience highlighted to me that there may well be a move away from bricks and mortar healthcare, a system that requires sick people to travel to clinics to congregate with other sick people and potentially expose themselves to infectious diseases, to paperwork errors and to incomplete medical records. The social isolation in times of crisis actually has highlighted that people do come together with other people, and it's important for them to live a good and healthy life. The value of community and the benefits of more relevant healthcare options, which of course we know includes Manitech's network distribution of education, distribution of product and of e-commerce support. So taking a deeper look at the opportunity we have right now, there's actually far more art to the delivery of wellness models than simply the medical side of disease or health. The art of maintaining health, the art of sharing is a profound return to humility, person-to-person interaction in a levelling of humanity. We have heard in the media from doctors themselves that when they fall short of the expectations in terms of knowing exactly what to do in certain situations, that crises can be humbling for everyone, even when we know that doctors are answering us, I don't know, or they're answering that they know that there are more definitive questions than there are answers. As the quote has been read and given to me recently, we don't make ground by kicking dirt. We make ground by taking the opportunity as a noble sense of people following tough times and pursue a passion to educate and to focus on a particular part of well-validated science that we know as glycomics. Glyconutrition is for us a mission, and it's a wanting to be part of the solution to help solve the biggest problems of the world. We all agree that glyconutrient supplements have their birthplace in both science, but we can credit that to nature. How can we not be optimistic about that? Manitech has, for over 20 years, had the foresight to distribute on-trend products to our immune systems while our world has been challenged with 3 pandemics on a global scale. Slide 10 shows us that SARS of 2003, MERS of 2012, and now COVID-19, which are all coronaviruses, which are all influenza A type viruses, been around not only since the beginning of the 2000s, but in actual fact, they've been around since the 1960s. So with glyconutrients available to us since 1998, Manitechers have the vision and the foresight and the knowledge and the experience to prepare for this moment. How wonderful it is. Sorry, I get emotional. How wonderful it is that we have what the world needs. Isn't that a recipe to thrive through confusing times? The products we have, the opportunity for secure residual income stream, and more so a financial solution to flip out some current insecurities about a job or about a career or a contract, many of which we now know are so fragile with so many mandates for new conditions of job security. As a community, the goodwill that you create for undernourished children each time you order product, supporting M5M with whole food blend glyconutrients, is just amazing. Just read also that the gig economy, opportunities of businesses from home, have Manitech as number 2 in the top 50 networking businesses. So as many companies have asked their employees to work from home recently, school closures relying on parents at home to school their children, retail businesses and their owners actually uncovering some unproductive staff, seeing wages bills closely scrutinised, hearing these sad scenarios, what can we offer them to lift their spirits and value their time? How about becoming part of the solution, to be open to adding network marketing to the list of their opportunities and options? When your life's not challenged, you don't pursue any new ideas. Why would you? You're very comfortable. But now, in just a few short months, many families are suddenly in survival mode. We can open their minds to a new platform, one where there is neither a boss nor an employee, where the playing field is equitable across the board. Rewards can be abundant in the Manitech experience. All those contacts that you've had that have become cold prospects, associates for whatever reason have stopped ordering products, all the conversations that you've left open without prejudice or pressure, all those people may now be ready to listen, be educated on how to thrive in these confusing times. Your success will lie in how you yourself value knowledge, wisdom, and that wisdom will guide you through these reconnecting conversations. By asking genuine questions, you begin to see the landscape of their life, how satisfied they are with their work, how dissatisfied they are, whether the promotion that they are given, do they really want it? and how it sits with their family time. As you begin to sow the seeds of knowledge, as you develop empathy with them and encourage their motivation to make a move, to take a step, to decide to begin the journey. Conversations ignite action. They begin to help you to think bigger, to become stronger, and to reject the apathy around you, and soon to move faster and wider with their newfound circle of influence, which they look back, and we will look back to 2020, and they'll see that today is actually the tomorrow that we all thought about yesterday, or last year, or even 10 years ago. Thriving in life is more about healthy life years, not the gift, Thriving in life is more about the healthy years that we have and the ones that we gift ourselves to better the quality of our own life. And by doing that, we actually increase our lifespan. We will thrive well beyond our latter years by becoming aware now of improving the number of thriving years that we have. The more healthy life years we gift ourselves, the better is our quality of life. That means that we will thrive well into the latter years. And by being aware now, we can improve the number of irreplaceable factors needed for a good life. How do you tell people the important information that they need at such a time as this? You need to confirm with them the accuracy of our company, the accuracy of the products that we have, and the opportunities that we all have as our passion. Sometimes what you want to say gets in the way of what you need to teach someone. We need to be courteous and polite, and we need to be gentle with our words. When we come to share the Nourishing Hope Manatech products, we know that technology is solid and the people more than ever are seeking help from their immune system. The leading products are all immune modulators, neither suppressing or aggravating the balance. Manopol is a pure, stabilised medicinal alcohol, and it's cultivated using DNA analysis of the products, allowing us to have stronger potentials in the plants that they harvest. And so the product that has the polysaccharide mannose has actually lengthened and become stronger as the company has DNA analysed the plants that they source from Costa Rica. There are other products that do come on the market, but we need to be very clear about where the science sits. And we know that the science related to the DNA analysis of mannose sits at what they call 1 million Daltons. These products that they process from the aloe vera plant to the powder includes also the plant pectin, which is very effective in attracting chemicals to be eliminated from the body, and that so supports our immune system. We know that the technology is strong and long-lasting, and people more than ever are seeking help for their immune system. Manatech improves the rate at which the immune system responds to foreign molecules, and at the same time increases the absorption of nutrients like vitamin C and vitamin E. These are coming from the GI tract and they are incorporated into our body. Because the growing number of aloe vera plants are constantly DNA analysed, as I said before, the actual structure of the mannose molecules are more stable between plant crops, giving superior overall performance once we ingest them as our supplement. Back in 1995, the scientific journal Nature was confirmed that biologically active plant sugars, mannose being a very important one, were responsible for cell activity, which is what we're looking at now, and to identify the kind of molecule attached to all cell surfaces that starts a cascade of functions to feed, cleanse, or destroy any molecules that it comes in contact with. So all the good food choices that we make and the bountiful nutrition that we have in our diet won't be absorbed if we don't have cellular communication functioning at its best, and your immune system won't have enough instructions as to what to do. The second product, Ambritose Life, offers cellular communication as well as other antioxidants. The third product, GI Pro, which will be on the next slide. Yeah. Sorry, a few slides behind. So all that good food that we're seeing there has to be incorporated into, sorry, just one back here. All that good food that we do incorporate in our diet has to be incorporated from the GI tract across into our body. And if we don't have supplements to help them to do that, if we don't have products like GI Pro to actually adhere to the gut lining, then our own immune system can't regulate as distinct from modulate. When you take GI Pro, it binds to the gut lining cell wall and acts as a barrier for pathogens, viruses, and toxic bacteria. The 7 strains of the friendly bacteria in the GI Pro work even better when taken with Ambritose Life, as the strains of good bacteria use Ambritose to feed themselves and to populate the whole digestive system with good bacteria. So important, especially in the midst of such high levels of antibiotic and sanitizer that we're seeing in these pandemics and times of germ exposure. Pop up that next slide if you don't mind, Sharon. And the next slide. Here it talks about the antibiotics and the antiseptic cleansers that are impacting our ability to maintain a balance of healthy microbes in our bodies and our environments. Studies continue to prove that harmful species will exploit areas where too few good bacteria are there to fight back, and sterility should not be the goal. As Young writes, a diverse ecosystem is better than an impoverished one. And the next slide, I think we're coming towards the last one. So this slide just joins together the 4 products that we have on hand that we can definitely be talking to our contacts about reconnecting with Manitech, reconnecting with the products that we have available. The importance of Catalyst sits here in that it has a 400 milligram of vitamin C, which is the highest of all of the other targeted products that Manitech have, even AO and Mana C. Catalyst is an all-round multivitamin and mineral with a huge amount of vitamin C. As vitamin C is classified as an essential vitamin, meaning that our bodies can't generate it ourselves, we can't manufacture it, we need to take it in a supplement or in our diet. It also has 15 milligrams of zinc, and zinc very much stabilizes the immune system and all the enzymes of the targeted and the targeted messages that the immune system sends out through all of the different B cells, T cells, immunoglobulins, and cytokines that the immune system uses to find friend or foe in terms of our immune system. Both of the vitamins and minerals along with a multitude of equally important nutrients in Catalyst are beneficial to the rate of our metabolism as well. Finally, Immunostart, it also contains vitamin C, it contains Ambritose, it contains colostrum. We know that 5 of the 8 essential monosaccharides are in human breast milk. And it also contains immunoglobulin G, which is one of the major flaggers of the immune system that tells the immune system when to react. And so that immunoglobulin G will rapidly allow us to kick into the immune system. And by using the Immunostart as regularly as you can, at the very first sign of anything that you feel is not right, it's going to immediately kick the immune system into function. So with the knowledge of the Manitech opportunity an understanding of the immune system, the essence of education, and the support of like-minded friends. Thriving in these tough times, it means that we will grow and develop and prosper and flourish. Thriving also describes vitality and trust, clarity and focus. Become confident in your abilities and skills and wisdom. Build capacity to be resilient, which we all have to do. Have vision and not to lose hope. Stay grounded and be ready to take action. The last freedom we have is to choose our own attitude. Remain vigilant about what you choose to consume, not only in nourishment, but also in what you allow yourself to hear and to see and to read. To thrive through adversity is to see the challenge. See change as a chance to grow and to be in control. To believe that you have the knowledge and skills and wisdom to act for a better life and embrace commitment. Be passionate about your pursuits and see your new life and those around you as being meaningful and purposeful. People crave relationship, the great human connection with others, and we want to connect in a meaningful way so that we all value each other as much as we value our own health. Hopefully, just from explaining to you a little bit about the origins of where you source your information, and from giving you another little recall on how the immune system works, and giving you a few more tips on how to reignite some of your cold prospects from years ago or from last week. Be prepared to step up, and hopefully, as it says here, the 3 changes for life: choices, chances and changes. And hopefully with all of these that we will end up having a good way to manage ourselves through the current pandemic. And hopefully we'll just continue to use the products and enjoy a really good quality of life for our families. I think I should stop there, Sharon.
Thank you, Liz.
Anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, a couple things. I know you've been very busy and you've put so much research and inspiration. I think all I did on heart and soul and personal experience to share this with you today. I do need to say, as we always do, that we don't endorse our products for any cure or any disease or replacement of doctor's care. And offering you some education on vaccine safety does not mean we tell you don't take vaccines. It's something that it's a personal choice. I'd also like to say that right now there's a lot of chatter about people who are questioning safety of vaccines being called anti-vax, and that's not the same thing. That's the new gaslighting for people who want real truth. And most of us who are saying, hey, demonstrate the safety of vaccines, have deep research into it and personal experience. And so, Liz, I don't know if you can say no to this, but I was wondering if you can just share a bit of your personal story and what opened you up to start researching deeper, and why this topic is deeply passionate for you.
Yes, of course. In the introduction, you spoke about our son Declan, who is our 3rd child, and in 1996, I was thick in the middle of being a pharmacist and helping everyone in retail scenario, and also doing my postgrad into immunology and biochemistry at uni. Our son was vaccinated, as my 2 daughters were, and for some reason, I don't know what the reason was at that point, within 4 to 5 hours of him having his first childhood vaccinations, his whole biochemistry shut down. His body just lost function. He had no muscle tone. He couldn't feed. And this was within hours. And the only thing that I know changed was taking him to the GP to get his vaccination. We were told to come back, and we sat in the waiting room. They were wanting to check for a temperature spike or for a seizure. and none of those things happened. He just lay there in my arms. We took him home, and I just got on the internet. This is back in 1996, and I just started to look into what immunisation was all about, and having, you know, obviously studied pharmacy and, you know, basically believed everything that my undergraduate course taught me. It was a gut-wrenching time, and I really had to focus strongly on looking for information about the immune system rather than looking at the complications of understanding medicine, vaccines, because to me they were going to be an insult to the human body, whereas what I wanted to do was find out what the human body could do to help itself. And I desperately needed this for my son, because I had, you know, a child that stopped feeding, had no suck reflex, and had to be put on, you know, TPN feeds. It was just so frightening. The 15 months following that, his immune system just crashed. He got asthma, and he got skin eczema. It was unbelievable. He was on antibiotics constantly. When I came across glyconutrients, or actually the word I first came across was glycans, and I do, having met Mandakini, one of our fellow associates, and knowing her history and her home country of Israel, the very, very first article that I read in a journal was from the University of Israel, and it was to do with glycans. And so I quickly looked into that word and recognised that what it was a conduit between food or supplements of fragments of carbohydrates that we get from plant material. And a glycan involved using or adding those sugar molecules, those naturally occurring plant sugar molecules, into the diet, whereby it woke up the cells of the immune system and caused the body to suddenly know what was friend, what was foe, what was part of nutrition, and what was part of something that had to be apoptosed or killed or destroyed. And so very quickly I had the confidence to go to this company at that point, go to this company and say, how is it that you have this information that I was not able to get from textbooks when I was doing undergrad? And it wasn't until I opened Harper's Biochemistry, the 26th edition, I think it was, of 1996, and I read for the first time a whole chapter 56 at that point, all about glycoproteins. And I just couldn't believe the gift that I was able to find for my son. And of course, that was the beginning of my journey and learning to educate myself and try to spread, you know, the word that each mother, each father, each sibling, each auntie, each grandparent has the tools in our toolbox to share this information. And I guess that's where we're at now, is where we're in a position where we have pandemics that are going to occur, not just this year, not next year, not the year after. They're going to happen from here on. And we need to take stock of our own responsibility for our own life, for our own wellness, and to be very, very cautious about reading what we believe to be sources of information that we should trust, and perhaps not. Perhaps now we have come to a pinnacle tipping point where I would definitely encourage everyone to use their own mind and think about their own need and research for themselves, and not just take for granted that what they see on a pamphlet that's been distributed by a government body or a manufacturing company. You know, you're stronger willed than that. You really are. We all are. We're all stronger willed than that. And it's up to us now to move as a community and try and educate not only each other, but also be a voice strong enough that we don't get put into the little side box that it's these little group of people that have a different agenda. because that little group of people are thousands, and we're going to become millions, and our children's children are going to be benefiting from this because we have a voice, and we really need to do that. I don't know if a Facebook page that has only opened 3 weeks ago, opened by an Australian couple, Anthony and Kate Golay, empowered nutritional resolutions, I think they're called. And they have got more than 36,000 people following the research that you and I are all looking into. So for a group to come from the ground level 3 weeks ago in regard to a pandemic to having 36,000 plus people from all over the world wanting to find out where to get the right information, these are the types of information that we have to be open to. And obviously we don't toss the baby out with the bathwater and of what we get from the healthcare system. The healthcare system does need us to give it a shake. And I really hope that we all give it a shake. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time to speak out. And, Manatech is, as, people committed to Manatech, Liz and I, over 20 years, we've always been committed to talking the truth. That's what we're truth seekers in Manatech, the truth about nutrition, the truth about cellular health, and the truth about, Dr. Nugent is so amazing, the truth about how toxic our world is becoming and how that education is not prolific. We need to be the ones to pass on this good news because everybody should know about this. So when you're talking about nutritional glycans and supporting your brain and all the proven benefits of that, you're in good hands in passing this education on. So I know there's quite a few questions. So in regards to, for people who are waking up, again, this isn't a don't get vaccinated call. That's not our message. Our message is wake up, research, and become a partner in your healthcare choices. So, you need to find medical practitioners who can join you with that. And we're really deeply sorry for those of you that have been forced into vaccination to see loved ones or for whatever, to receive payments, whatever reason, the various coercions that are happening right now. We apologize, but there are ways. Go out and research. It's outside of Manatech. There are ways to detoxify people from the adjuvants and some of the toxins in vaccines. Now, in regards to, there's a couple questions. Some people have asked about references. So Liz, I'm sure that you can give me a link or something I can put into when I put up the video. Having said that, though, if you look at anything Children's Health Defense does, so they've got a website and they're on Facebook, they're fully referenced and there's a million links there. And this, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's a real environmentalist, a real human rights person, and most recently he's backed the call for vaccine safety, and he's exposed some of these gaps that Liz has been talking about. And so, it's there's nothing not true about that. You can go look, although I won't go down that rabbit hole. I read a big, long Forbes.com article this morning about fake videos, that you can't even trust videos anymore. So, it is a scary time because things that we've taken for granted as truth, may or may not be, and that we need to be fully engaged in learning more. So, and there was other question, excuse me, I'll just glance back.
Yes, I just saw it was.
Yeah, I think let's finish with this, Liz, and beyond what's in your heart for people that are waking up and wanting to be the best stewards of wellness possible. Obviously I can speak for myself. I was a nurse. I just did what I was told. I accepted everything. I'm fully vaccinated and then some. I have multiple autoimmune diseases. There's no research looking at the links there. Mind you, Robert Kennedy just published some if you want to look at that. But, and I've gone on to realize this and put 2 and 2 together and then make different choices for my children and educate myself. So, we need to be that discerning about the toxins, the non-natural thing. How discerning do we need to add, say, nutritional life after you died? Are they safe?
Sorry,
Did I break up all of that?
you broke up. Sorry.
So, we're coaching people to be discerning about, say, pharmaceuticals they're putting into our body and the education that we receive, and seek beyond the surface. What about choosing to use nutritional glycans for well-being? Are they safe? Do the same level of discernment? Do you need to know everything about them to take them or to recommend them?
No, you don't need to know everything about them because they come from nature. That's it. Basically what the company have done, who produce and provide us with these glyconutrients, what they've done is they've taken what nature has given us, and they've actually found the science in it, and it's unadulterated. It's exactly the way nature intends. One of the major things I used to say to young children when I would go into schools and give talks was to say that the nutritional value in the skin of fruits and vegetables that we nowadays peel away or chop off, that's exactly where the carbohydrates are. They're in the parts of the fruit and vegetables that unfortunately in our modern diet are not even there. I cringed years ago when I first saw, the Sunday roast vegetables, potatoes and pumpkins cut up on a polystyrene foam and covered in plastic, all ready to go. So, oh my God, where are we heading? It's just crazy. So, the Manatech website itself has got an attachment to it which is called manatechscience.org. And I would definitely encourage you all to have a look at that and to guide your contacts to that, because manatechscience.org does give you all the science. But on the other hand, you don't need to know everything before you start talking to people, because the person themselves will soon learn what the gaps are in their own life, and they can put the dots together. It's not your job, it's not your responsibility to take that on. So I also encourage you, to step back from your contacts and allow them space to do the research for themselves. As I said, it isn't your responsibility, but it is your responsibility to open their eyes to what is available in terms of education. Yeah.
Absolutely, Liz. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Liz, thank you for your generosity of spirit and intellect and passion for the truth. I know this was probably a different topic than usual, and we hope that it has, we're getting so many, there's still, Dita, do you want to message me on Facebook and I'll answer your question there? In regards to using glyconutrients to mitigate to mitigate any negative effects from vaccines. So I think to be clear,
that would be a whole talk just in itself.
Oh, here you come, Liz, that you just put your hand up. Yes, that's a really big topic. There is lots of help out there to get support during the vaccination process, to be safe with it, and altered schedules and everything. But you really need to look at the individual, the same as what we're talking about. We're all different, and more work needs to be looked into who's at risk of vaccine injury and why, and those people should be exempted. So Liz, what's in your heart today?
Thank you. I'm just looking down and seeing, so many people are asking questions, 99 plus there. And look, in actual fact, it probably would be a good idea that if people really do want to ask some questions, it may be a forum where if they all send their questions to you, Sharon, and then I can actually go through those questions and, find the answers that are going to be most appropriate to this forum. And yes, at a later date, absolutely, we can just do a question and answer, because a follow-up for this would be very, very useful for everyone. And it will give everyone a chance now to think about what they've heard today, perhaps go back and listen to the recording of it, and then we can come back, in a little while and actually put some of those answers to the questions that people want to pass on to you, Sharon.
Fantastic. So I'll be chasing you for a date
Yes.
any Saturday after next Saturday. Next weekend's booked, but after that we're open. So just let me know and we'll book it. And you can start sending those questions to me now, either on the Facebook
Yes,
page,
please.
facebook.com/Australasian Connect, or via the email. Just message me on Facebook is probably the best way if you don't have my email.
Mm.
Thank
And
you,
just
Liz.
sorry, the last thing I did see someone say there, say hello to Declan for me. A little plug for him. He's 24 years old now. He lives independently in the country of WA, an hour away from here, with a beautiful family. And he has his own Facebook page, which is his micro enterprise. So if you want to look him up, it's called Done by Declan. And you'll be overjoyed, because every time his carer posts something new, I'm overjoyed. So
There, I just
thank
put
you
the
to the
link in.
Mantec family.
I put
That's
the
the
link in
one,
the
Done by
comments there.
Declan. Lovely.
So we'll look forward to catching up with everybody again on this topic and the Q&A in hopefully within the next 4 weeks. And God bless you all. Have a great Saturday. Next week is Amanda Luttrell. So, and it's going to be more personal development and business focused. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Liz.
Bye. Have a good
Thanks so much.
weekend. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.